Hi. This is my third time recording this review. The first time just sucked, and the second time I accidentally taped over. There seems to be some force out there that does not want this review to be seen, but this review will be seen! Well, actually it's already being seen. You're seeing it, unless you aren't. Today we review the dystopian novel of Feed by M.T. Anderson. I want to begin by expressing how incredibly scary this book is. This book is frightening. The premise of the story is that in the future, technology will have advanced so far that the internet will have evolved into the FeedNet. You get this device implanted into your brain called the Feed, and it basically gives you access to everything you would have access to on the internet just by thinking about it. The story follows a young man named Titus, who is pretty well integrated into the Feed world, but he's a little bit more enlightened than most. Titus meets Violet, who is considerably more enlightened than most, and also fairly sheltered, and so she's trying to get out and live a normal life. And Violet decides that she is going to figure out a way to resist the Feed. Now, in a lot of ways, Feed's dystopian society is the polar opposite of 1984's dystopian society. One of the most fascinating things about Feed's dystopian society is that there is no controlling force. Fahrenheit 451 has the firemen, 1984 has the thought police, The Giver has the Council of Elders, the Uglies trilogy has the specials, The Hunger Games has the Capitol officials, Animal Farm has the puppies. Feed does not have anything like this. If anything controls the Feed society, it's the Feed itself. The consumeristic pressures behind the Feed, the corporations behind the Feed, and just the fact that technology has advanced so far that you really can't exist very well in this society without the Feed. And behind all of these things, the consumeristic pressures, the corporations, and the Feed itself, behind all of these things are the people. So the people are perpetuating their own dystopian society, which is fascinating and frightening. But for all that it's the opposite of 1984's society, and for all that it doesn't have the controlling force that a lot of dystopian societies have, Feed society is every bit as controlling as any other dystopian society. Think about the levels of control in 1984. They control information. Well, obviously, if you've got the internet implanted in your brain, anybody can get in there and control the information. But interestingly enough, Feed doesn't go that route. It doesn't look as though anybody is messing around with misinformation with the Feed. It looks like the information that you're getting is every bit as real as information that you would get ordinarily. But what's changed is that people care less about getting that information. Education is a much, much different thing in the Feed society because any information that you could possibly want is right there in front of you. You just have to think about it and you can look it up. So you can look up historical events and you can look up current events and you can see what's going on in the world, but most people just don't bother. They're very much self-centered, present-centered people. They think about themselves and they think about what's going on now, not what's going on outside themselves and what could go on in the future or what's gone on in the past. And the world around them is disintegrating. The rest of the world is threatening war with the United States, the environment is pretty much dead, and plus everybody's skin is falling off. No joke, their skin is falling off. These lesions have started appearing on their skin. But rather than finding out why and finding out what they can do about it, they instead make the lesions fashionable, so that people won't mind that their skin is falling off. Language is also a big thing. Of course, in 1984 you had Newspeak. There's not an official language like that in Feed, but everybody speaks with kind of a stereotypical teenage vernacular. They speak with the slang and the likes and the you-knows and the gratuitous use of swear words and the questions at the ends of sentences that aren't questions. Everybody speaks like that. Teenagers, adults, even the president speaks like that. And then you've got the centerpiece of 1984's dystopian society, the control of actions and thoughts. The Feed constantly bombards you with ads telling you, there are some sales going on here. Look, you can buy something over there. Look, you can stay in this hotel. And the thing is, the Feed isn't just the internet for your brain. The Feed actually reads into your personality and categorizes you so that it can tailor-make ads specifically for you. But what it's essentially doing then is that it's molding you into that personality that it has established for you. So in a way, it is controlling where you go and how you think. But probably what's most frightening about this novel is that the society that is portrayed here is completely plausible. M.T. Anderson has written this future in such a way that it is completely logical that things could progress this way, and in fact, M.T. Anderson doesn't even consider this to be a futuristic novel. Because a lot of the things that you see in this novel, a lot of the scenes that are portrayed here, are things that are happening today. Especially with regards to the public's general apathy about what's happening in the world. But what really sells this book for me, and what I really, really like about this book, is the ending. The ending is absolutely beautiful. It's incredibly sad, but it's absolutely beautiful. The story is written in such a way that it sounds like Titus is sitting down in front of you and telling us this story, and by the time you get to the end, you realize why he was telling you this story. He's not trying to influence you in any way, he's just telling a story of something that happened to him. And the message then speaks for itself, which is what good stories should do. And so, kind of in the same way as 1984, the hope in this novel is that the novel exists, but it's more than that. In 1984, the story just kind of existed. No one was telling it, it was just sort of there. But in Feed, there is somebody telling you this story. Titus is telling you this story, and he has lived this story. So the fact that he is telling the story means that he is not forgetting it, he is not just feeling apathetic toward it, he actually cares about the story and he wants to share it. And so that may not represent hope for the society as much as it represents hope for Titus, but it is a hope, and it is more hope than 1984 had, and so that is why this remains on the favorites list. Also, it's just incredibly well written. It's an excellent story, and everybody should read it. And the next story on the favorites list is going to be The Giver by Lois Lowry, just as soon as I find a copy of it. See you next time.